with Latin Professional Management Network and Unstoppable Me. Rocks. And today's agenda will be starting with the overview of what the presentation will be, and we'll then move on to the icebreaker session to know on one-to-one basis. Then we'll move into the scope management, the different process groups we have, the processes and all that. Followed by that, we have a case study that will be presented by Rodrigo. So his previous work. And finally, we'll move on to some breakout rooms to have some open discussions and some questions related to scope management and even the complete PMBOK in particular. After that, we'll move on to some PMP style Q&A. So we can discuss some tips and tricks and how to answer those questions. So this is the overall agenda. And before starting the session, let me read out the media use disclosure. So by registering for this event, I grant permission to LPMN and Unstoppable Me to take and use visual and audio recordings of me, including comments I may provide on my experience, regardless of modifications or alterations for any purpose whatsoever, including and without limitation, public advertising, social media, and non-public exhibition in any manner or media whatsoever, including print, broadcast, or the internet, without further notice or compensation. I waive the opportunity or right to inspect or approve the finished product or the use to which it may be put or the copy and or illustrations used in connection therewith. So I hope you don't have any issues with this, right?
All will I.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, just a minute. So coming to the today's facilitators, we have Rodrigo, a PMP and Prince 2 certified professional. He's a Scrum Master and also a professor as well. And about me, I'm Samir. So I'm a PMP and PSM1 certified. And I'm currently working as a Scrum Master and volunteering as a social media manager. And coming to the discussion format, this will be a lean coffee style discussion about project scope management in particular, that is based on the PMBOK guide 6th edition. And the session guidelines, this will be of 1.5 hours duration. So for the communication, we'll be using Zoom video conference and Go Reflect. And the operating principles will be safe learning, shared learning, and we need a collaboration. So it should be a two-way learning, and followed by open communication, active listening, and active participation. So let's move on to the first part, that is the icebreaker session to get to know each other. So we'll create a separate breakout rooms for that. So it'll be of 5 minutes duration. So Ivan, okay, please join the breakout rooms.
Was too fast.
I know. I was willing to talk to you some more.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi,
Sandra.
Sandra.
Sandra is new in the group.
Let me just see what was the issue. Ivan, are you there?
I am here.
Yeah, actually, yeah, we came out of the breakout rooms.
Do you want me to create them again?
Yeah.
For another, yeah?
5 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
So we have, okay, one more batch they need to join. Okay, so welcome back. So I know it's too short. Okay, this is just to entry level introduction. Maybe we can connect later using different formats. And I can, Roderick, you can start your presentation. So it will be a presentation on scope management followed by a case study. So let's see what's in store.
Thank you, Samir. Well, this is hello everyone and Merry Christmas. Today start December. My name is Rodrigo Misle, like Samir said. I'm a professor back in Colombia in the University Javeriana is the name of the university back in Colombia. And I teach project management too. This is important for me. And I want to talk about the knowledge area scope, because this is the matter today. I hope you enjoy this kind of thing. The first thing that I want to talk with you, with everyone, is about predictive projects. This is important because we are here, this is the matter of today. Of course, we have a different type of project, like an agile project, Today I'm going to focus only in predictive projects, okay? And this is important. Why is it important? Because today we're going to talk about scope, and the scope in a predict project is fixed, Of course, they can change through a committee. This is important. But in Agile, the scope of the requirement is dynamic, and everyone here knows about the Agile approach. Of course, these requirements are in the backlog, right? In the Agile process, But today I want to focus in that part, only in the predicted projects, right? First, I want to say that a scope can refer to two things. The first, product scope, right? Product scope is the features and the fusion that characterize a product, service, or result, right? And the other thing is project scope. Is two different things, Project scope is the work performed to deliver a product, service, or result. It's two different kinds of things. We need to understand that part of the scope. You have the scope for the product, and you have, of course, the scope for the project, right? The other thing that I want to mention here is completion of the project scope. Oh, this is new, Sandra is here. Completion of the project scope is measured against to the project management plan. That means that a scope have a baseline, and this is important. Of course, the baseline can change through the community change, but the important thing is that they have a baseline, all right, in the beginning, all right? A scope has 6 processes, all right? Is the second knowledge area, for example, and they have 6 processes. The first process is, of course, create the plan scope management. The second process is collect the requirement. This is PMBOK, right? The third one is define the scope. The number 4 is create the WBS. And the 5 is validate the scope. And the 6 is control the scope. This is a 6 process in the PMBOK that the scope have, okay? But I want to talk about each process, of course, but I want to talk about trends. What is new about this 6 process that I want to talk, all right? First, this is a question that I use to my student. A project has 3 baselines, and this is important to understand. Don't have 2, it's 3 baselines. The first one is, of course, scope, and for me, is the most important baseline of the project, for me. Of course, have the second baseline is schedule activity. This is project, all right, project. And of course, have the third one is cost, But for me, the most important baseline on the project is a scope baseline, all right? And I want to talk in this intersection about that. How you construct the scope baseline. First, you need to collect the requirement. This is the first step. Then you need to define the scope, of course. And third, you need to construct the WBS, all right? This is the process to construct the baseline of the scope, all right? I'm going to talk by one. Like I say, I want to talk with you about the trend. What is new about this scope part? All right. First, the trend about scope. First, you need to determine problems and identify business need. This is important. This new word. We need to use now business needs. All right, for make the scope. All right, and the other part. And you need to identify or recommend viable solution for meeting those needs, all right? What is need? The business need, all right? Then you need to document and manage stakeholders' requirement in order to meet a business and a project objectives. You need to facilitate the successful implementation of the product, all right? Service or result of the program of the project. And the most important now, you need to have a relationship with a business analyst. This is a new thing now in the project that we use. You need to should be a collaborative partnership with this guy, the new guy, business analyst. Where is the business analyst? In the beginning of the project, in the initial of the project. And now the project management need to have this collaboration, all right, to make this scope, all right? And this is important. What else? Trends. When I collect requirement, the PMBOK said, all right, okay, you can collect with these techniques, you know, brainstorming, interview, focus group, benchmarking, data analysis. They have a lot of techniques, but this is a new technique that have in the last PMBOK guide, all right, and they said prototype. And I use a lot of prototype to collect requirement, and I use a lot of Lego series, right? I don't know, some of you start being in my last presentation, I talk about stakeholders, and I use Lego series play to this methodology to collect new requirements. And this is important because you need to collect, like I said here, good and important requirements. And the other thing is a trend here, is review the business plan. You need to do these two things to collect the requirement. But like I said, I use a lot of Lego to do that. Of course, the mystery shopper too, I use that too. This is a new trend. And of course, then when you collect the requirement, you put this requirement in a traceability matrix, and this is important. It's a great tool to ensure, all right, tracking of the requirement. And this is so important, all right? But if the trend here is you need to collect very good and important requirements. How to do that? I use Lego, and the most important thing now, we need to review a lot of the business plan now. You know, so the other thing about trends is define the scope. This is the second step. You recollect, all right, like I say, and then you define a scope. What is the trend here? Well, first, the scope is project scope description, why project deliveries, and a certain criteria. This is the three things that they have the scope. But a scope is a statement, like here, it's words. You know, it's a very, very long statement, and I don't like the statement part. And for that, I transform this statement in a model in 3D, all right, with Lego. Of course, I use Lego to do that too. And this is nice because I think so it's more understand that part in Lego that is a statement, you know, like I build this statement of a scope, this is the final scope with Lego. And I think so for people, when we go to work in this project, it's more easy to understand, you know, the complexity and everything about the project when you saw this model in 3D, you know, I think so it's easier, all right? This is another trend that I use. And another trend for the defined scope, and for me it's important, is to explain what is not part of the scope. This is important. Why? This is an example that I use in my class. When I do my class, I explain a project with my wedding because I'm married in Aruba, in an island, no? And I say to my student, look, this is the scope of my wedding. The scope of my wedding is a wedding, reunion, party, rumba, 24 hours, 7 nights, 8 days, with everything included. When you saw that, it's a statement, because this is the scope, You can imagine whatever you want. And this is the reason it's so important put out the scope. What is not part of the scope? Well, I said to my wife, when I present this project, I say to my wife, oh, look, this is out of the scope, no children, no drugs, no tourist trip. You know, you need to be very clear about what is not part of the scope. And this is a new trend, and I think so this is important when you make or when you define a scope. You need to be very, very clear what is out, what is not part of the scope. Because if you only read this statement, you can imagine whatever you want, you know, and this is hard. And I think so this is start to have problem with the project, you know. Another trend, this is the third step, when you're going to create the WBS, another trend that I saw, this is the common structure about the WBS. You know, this is a common structure, down and down. You know, it's common. But I saw and I use one app. I need to, oh, here is not the name of the app. I'm going to put the name later. I use these apps that I can create the WBS in a puzzle. And it is very nice because when the puzzle is together, here they put the logo of the project, you know, the name of the project and everything, and you start to click and they start to break down, you know, all the project. And it's a very nice app that I use because this is the, you know, the common structure that we use, but you need to start to use different things. I think so. This is for me, it's a trend, a new things, make a post about WBS. And another thing about WBS is the other areas of knowledge, like schedule, cost, wherever it is coming, you know, that following the plan depends, all these area of knowledge depend on the WBS. If the WBS create very well, it's good. The other part or the other knowledge area is going to be very well, all right? But this is the reason for me, this is the most important baseline of the project, all right? And here, the project management need to be 100% here in the planning process, all right? And this is another thing that I saw in a book, a very important book. I can't mention the number of the book, you know, but this is a very interesting book, project management book. And I saw this example about WBS, all right? I saw that. And I say, well, this is a example, a new car project, you know, and they do this breakdown, you know, like that, body and whatever. And I say, when I look this WBS, I can imagine it whatever I want. I imagine that kind of car. I can imagine that kind of car, that kind of car. And this is the reason, this is a very, very bad WBS for me, all right? Because for me, the WBS they must be specific, you know, not open to personal interpretation. If they're going to put wheels, you need to put 4 wheels because this is 4 wheels, this is 3 wheels, you know. I think so this is important part and to build a very, very specific WBS. In my class, my student built a WBS and I send this WBS to my mom. And I say to my mom, please, you know, read this WBS and tell me about the project. If she can read the project, the WBS is good, but she can't because she's doctor, I don't know. If she don't understand the WBS, it's a very bad WBS. WBS need to be understand for everyone in the team. And I think so this is important. But the scary part is I saw a lot of types of WBS like that, not specific. And I think so you need to be very, very specific in that kind of thing, all right? Because everyone, this is the hard part, you're going to work with human, a human think different. Everyone can imagine it wherever project. If I read this WBS, I can imagine that kind of car. Why not? They don't say 3 wheels or 4 wheels or 1 wheel. They don't say nothing. And I think so this is important. All right. And the other trends now about control a validated scope, right? This is another step. And I did that in a construction company. When you're going to buy an apartment, all right? For example, the apartment delivered to you when it's finished, you know, everything. And they call you and say, oh, your apartment is ready, come to receive the apartment. And back in Colombia, in a construction company that I work, I start to deliver very important deliverables, you know, and this is important. Only 3 very important deliverables. You know, what is the most important deliverable about apartment? Well, the bedrooms, the working closet, and the kitchen. That's it. This is only 3, you know. And when it's done, the bedroom, for example, I call the family, I say, well, come to here, and please, I'm going to give you this deliverable. Like and please notify if you are or not completed. And I think so this is important. And when we did that back in Colombia, the post-sale decreasing 45%. Like, because we don't wait until the apartment is ready to deliver everything. Okay, I think so this is important in scope too. Okay, named deliverables need to be like delivered very quickly when it's done. All right, and this is another thing important for me, another trend in scope management. All right, and that work in that company, yeah, that work a lot. This is a lot of money. Like in the post sale, we spend a lot of money when we deliver all the apartment and start to call. You know, this bedroom have this problem, the working closet have this problem, the kitchen have this problem. We have a lot of problems at the same time, and we stop that. All right. This is like the process to build the scope management part. But I want to talk to you about one studio case. It's a thesis that I did in a master's degree of program management that I teach. All right, this is the university that I teach. And the name of this thesis is Evaluation. I was the director of this thesis. And I want to show you this because this is very reveal things about scope. It's only about scope. How we do this thesis? First, we analyze historical project gap. And this is hard because this is a public company, you know, back in Colombia. And the problem with the public company, all the companies, you know, you don't have the data, all right? But here we have a lot of data, all right? And we analyze this historical project gap, all right? But the gap is only in the schedule and budget, all right? Of more than 120 projects, all right? And this is the result. This is the historical gap in 120 projects, all right? The schedule deviation is almost 40%, all right? And the deviation in budget is almost 25%. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of time, all right? This is the deviation in this both, all right, knowledge, area of knowledge, all right? And it's important, schedule and the budget. But this is 120 different kind of project, whatever project the public company have. Then we analyze only 5 projects, only 5 with the same characteristic, because this is for what kind of project they have, all right? This is only 5 projects, but with the same characteristic. And we analyze that too. And we saw the deviation in the schedule is 45, all right? And the deviation in budget is 27%, all right? In these 5 projects. But these 5 projects have the same characteristic, all right? Then we review the methodology to manage project, all right? The public company use logic framework. This is a very old methodology, all right? The first one, methodology to do project management, all right? And we do a comparison with PMI, all right? And we start to reveal what is the problem with these 2 methodologies. We detect a big problem in planning process. What is the most, you know, the big problem in planning process? Lack of a scope management. They don't do nothing about scope, all right? Nothing. For this kind of methodology, it's only a schedule and it's only a cost. They don't have the baseline scope. And this is the only part that we change and look the result is very interesting. But this is the hard part for us in the test. Then we took a pilot project and implement so good PMI practice, but most of the change were in the scope structure, all right? This is the only change that we do, all right? Only a scope. We take the scope process about the PMI process, and we put the scope in the process of this public company, all right? And look what happened. Well, what we do? First, we build a WBS, all right? And this is important to show how they need to build a WBS or whatever. In the beginning, we start with 200 deliverables, all right? But we put only 25. What I mean with that? We only select the important deliverables, all right? This is important, all right? Only select the important, and how we select, because you can manage 100 deliverables. We talk about that. In this kind of company or in your company, you manage 3 or 4 projects at the time, and you can manage all these deliverables. You need to manage only the important deliverables. And how to select this important deliverable? Well, I'm going to put a methodology selection. I don't know if it's good or not, but this is the methodology selection that we use in this thesis. First, we start to look what deliveries is belonging to the critical path, all right? And this is important. The other part, we select, all right, all deliveries that deliver impact in the strategic objective. Then we select all the deliveries that the highest cost, all right? Then we select the highest risk too. And then we select the delivery, the great impact on the stakeholder with great power and influence. This is the 5 selection method that we use. And we pass from 200 deliveries only to 35 deliveries. Yeah, and this is important, you know, to have this selection. And if this is the hypothesis that we use, if we only manage, all right, 25 deliverables, all right, very good, we can cut down these numbers, all right, and you're going to see the results. But this is the way. We build the WBS, all right, the big one, and then we do like a selection method to keep some important deliveries only 25, all right. Then the second step that we do in this public company, we add a key delivery information only for this 25, what is for me key information? Well, weight on the budget, all right, the responsibility, who is the risk, if high, medium, or low, final day, initial day, all right, and this is important for this thesis, is this deliverable is necessary to fulfill the strategy, all right? And this is the only information that we put in these 25 deliverables, all right? And then we use Kanban board. This is fun because I mix a lot of good practice, you know. This is the agile part. But we put this deliverable, the 25 deliverable, we put in a Kanban board in order to execution, you know, and we put the present too, and this is important, all right? And we start to manage this board to make the projects. When we done that part, we did a pilot test in 3 projects in simultaneous, and this is important, with the same characteristics. And that happened. This is the result, and this is very nice. We get it. We decrease a lot. This is the project that we use, the scope part that I showed you before. And we got it. We decrease a lot the schedule deviation and the deviation in budget. We decrease a lot. This project with the same characteristic, I have a 47% in deviation in the schedule, and we got it only 7.6% only. And of course, this project is, I don't know, this project is crazy good. And the other part in that one, in deviation of budget, 10% of this project, we got only 2 or 30% is enough for this project. And we did that. And I think so it's a very, very revealed thesis back in Colombia, because we only use one area knowledge, that this is scope. But if you use, we need to use more. We need to use stakeholder risk, quality, you know, if a lot of knowledge area that we don't use because we don't have the time, but we only use the scope part, and if you saw the result, we got it, the decrease. We finally get the decrease in that data that is important to the public company. And I think so we use, like you saw, a different kind of methodology, AO, with, you know, and I think so it's work. And it is very reveal for me thesis. And the idea too about the thesis to compare different methodology, how did work, what is work best for the company. And I think so that's it for today. This is the thing that I bring to you. I don't know if you have some question here. If you want to question, I think so it's important. I don't know if you understand everything, but it's hard. Sandra know about this company. This is which I can show you what is the name, but yeah, because she's from Colombia. But yeah, the most important thing is we have a very, very strong data. And this is hard because, you know, they show they open the company, and this is very hard. And then we can change some part of the process of the methodology that they use to do projects. And the only change was put a scope, you know, everything about scope, you know, and the WBS and everything. And if you only do that, you know, your project change a lot, you know, a lot. But I don't know if you have some question about that. No, it's so clear. Because it's hard, yeah, Sandra, but your microphone is off. Yeah.
Okay, so I do have a question, especially because as I was trying to explain the breakout room, my background is very different from these usually kind of projects, since I come from the academic background. So I was wondering if that kind of a scope is applicable, let's say, to a scenario where you can, how can I explain this? Like, is this applicable to an academic scenario where you can expect, you know, like a student registration, graduate students? You are also from the same background because you are a professor. So if I try to apply this to an academic program, trying to show the results after the project is finished, is that something, you know, like reachable, or it's really difficult to use it there?
No, it's easy. Like for me, a project is wherever. Like I teach project management with my project wedding back in Aruba. You know, like the idea for everyone is to understand what is a project. Project wherever you do is a project. You know, if you're going to have a trip tomorrow, you can make a project. You know, you can put a scope, a schedule, a quiz, and everything. This is the way of thinking of my mind, you know, because I'm a project manager, and I think that way. When I'm going to do like a trip, I just start to think that way. I build like a WS first, and then I put ways, and then I put a schedule. This is my way of thinking, you know, right now. And this is hard because you need to have a lot of time with this to program your mind that way. I think so for the kind of project that you have, you can do with this good practice. You know, you can use a WS, and then you can show that you want to do the different about doing that way and this way. Of course, but we can talk, you know, if you want later someday about that, because I can help you, because I understand you kind of project is different than our project. This is a construction project. I know maybe it's easier to look, you know, to see this kind of thing. But you can use this in technology project, wherever you want, you know. Well, in technology is different. But yeah, you can make it. If you want to talk about that, yeah, we can talk about it. It's good. This is the good part when you try to look this example and put in your work, you know, and this is the nice part about do that, because you start to connect things, and I think it is important. Yeah, thank you, Sam. I don't know if somebody have a question. Kusi, you understand with that part?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, like I enjoyed it while listening it, and like if I had the like professional experience and like go back to my previous experience and like compare and like see the advantages of it, it would be great. But like from my perspective, I'm always seeing perspectives and theories in college right now about project management, and this was a new one that I haven't seen before, and it was, I think, interesting. And
Yeah. This is the reason
also
I
the
just,
yeah.
sorry, this is the reason I just playing project management with my project wedding, because I want my student look, I can make a project about a wedding, you know, and do everything, risk, quality, everything, communication, schedule, scope, everything. I did that. And it's funny because you start to connect, you know, your simple life with project. And I think so this is the important part.
Yeah. Even me, sometimes I'm using, for example, in Agile, there are like daily meetings in the morning, like 5-minute meetings that they ask, like, what are the obstacles? What do you want to do? What did we yesterday? Like
Yeah,
that,
and
I'm
this is
just like using it like normal daily, and it helps me out a lot sometimes. So
And
I
this
like
is the
that.
other thing, like you say, because to connect different good practice. Yeah, like if you saw, I use Canva with the other part, you know, with Scope, with WS. This is weird thing, but I think so it's important. For me, the 5 minute meeting every day is important too, you know, wherever the kind of project is. I think so this is the good practice, you know, because this is a good practice. This is not a recipe, you know, like and you need to take whatever work for you. And for me, it's too. I use the 5 minute, you know, meeting per day with my team. I love that part. And whatever, if the project is no agile, I don't care. You know, like it's only that it's a good practice in your agile, and I use it. I use Canva with this, and I say, well, that worked for me. You know, and this is good. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
I don't know, Samir, if we have another question about that.
Yeah, we have time for that.
All right. Some question, another question or no? It's clear? Well, let's, no, Samir,
Yeah.
it's clear.
So as Rodrigo spoke about, right? So scope, it depends on the what type of project life cycle we are having. So we have predictive on one side, agile on the other side. In between, we have the hybrid. So when we are having the predictive, we are very much clear what are the requirements, and we expect the requirements to be fixed. However, in between, we can change the requirements using the change management control processes. But whereas if you move to the agile perspective, we have a vision of what the product will be, but we are not very much clear about the requirements. So further, we take each step at a time to understand what the requirements are. We pull up those requirements which we are clear and which are of high priority, and we try to work on that, and we deliver that to the try to build the product on that. That's why we tend to have a daily stand-up meeting, as Kuze said. That is where we discuss like what are to make sure that everyone is on the same page with regarding to the requirements. And in between, we have this mix of agile and the hybrid one, where it uses a predictive and the agile part. So it's very important to define and to decide like what type of life cycle we are going to have for this project. And scope is where the requirements that defines, that plays a crucial factor. Yeah.
This
So
is important. Thank you, Samir.
yeah. So if you have any other questions related, you can ask with regard to scope or even other topics as well. If not, we can move to the breakout rooms. So maybe you can be more, you can freely express yourself. Yeah. So you might have even questions with regard to the PMP exam style or the PMBOK or the upcoming, the new version of the 7th guide or something. We can discuss that in the breakout rooms. So Ivan, can you please create breakout rooms? Yeah.
Yeah, hello, Samir.
Yeah, so we are back.
Now the question, Samir.
Mhm.
All right.
So let me discuss some PMP style questions. So there are a few people who are looking forward for that. And I'm looking forward for everyone's participation, whether you are PMP certified or not. So let's just take this discussion to the next level possible. So let me share my screen. I hope you're able to see the screen, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So these are some common tips and tricks for people who are planning for the PMP exam. So the first one is you need to understand the type of questions before attempting that. So what are the different type of questions we can have in the PMP exam? So a few are of the short and direct questions, which takes less than a minute to answer. And other one is a formula based. Usually you get it from the cost knowledge area and communication knowledge area. And also, yeah, you have even risk as well. So these are the three knowledge areas where you get formula based questions, and you need to by heart those formulas. And next we have the most important thing is the situational or scenario based questions, where it takes time to understand what the scenario or the situation is, and you need to practice answering those type of questions. And the other one is the ITTO. These are very much pretty much straightforward. Previously we had a lot of questions based on the ITTOs where you have to memorize and dump that knowledge, but now the number of questions coming directly from the ITTO is very much too less. We can say hardly 4 to 5 questions on that. And coming to the tip 2, so read the questions carefully and check for the keywords. Sometimes it will be very misleading when there are keywords such as most likely, least likely, best, not. By ignoring that particular keyword, the whole meaning of this question might change. So you have to focus on those main keywords. And the third tip is for lengthy questions, try to read the last question and followed by the answer choices. Sometimes there'll be questions where the 60 to 70% of the first part of the question it doesn't contain any information. It will be more like a storytelling which has no connection to what the final question will be. So try to read the last question to save time. If you're not able to understand what he's asking, then go to the questions, the complete one. And the tip 4, for situational questions, choose the best among several correct answers by eliminating less correct or wrong answers. So to confuse you, the questions will be like where the particular questions will have more than one correct answer, but you have to make sure you're getting to the closest correct answer possible. So you can do this by trying a lot of sample questions that are available on the open Google platform. And also you can join different courses as well, where you have simulators and all that, where you can pay a certain fee and try the different set of questions. So let's move on to the some sample questions. So I'll read it out. As part of the process to develop the scope statement for the project you are leading, you specify the deliverables for the project, include the requirements under which the deliverables will be accepted, and explicitly state what is out of project scope. What should you do next? Option A, obtain approval of the project scope statement. Option B, include the acceptance criteria in the scope statement. Option C, determine who decides the project is successful. Option D, describe product scope in the scope statement. So feel free to guess the answer. So
They showed it.
yeah, I showed it. Okay.
All right.
So let me know if you read the explanation. Let me know if you have any questions with regarding to that particular, and like if you're not getting the understanding right.
Yeah, my question here is, I have a slight reservation about the answer provided. So if it's a product development project, then yes, but it's not mentioned in the question anywhere that it's a project related to a product development. So in that case, how does product scope come into the picture?
Okay. So Rodrigo, you want to take it up?
No, that's true. That's true. The question doesn't say this is a product project, like you said. And this is the hard part of that. But this is the process to make a very good scope statement. This is, the process is number one, product scope description. Number two, delivery, sector criteria. This is the process, they only put the process. But I think so the same as you. They don't say this is a product project, this is confused because maybe the A option is good, like obtain the approval, because the other part is inside, the C, of course, no. But yeah, I be in the A and D, but of course, if they try to asking is only if you know the process to make a very good statement or scope. That's it. And the process is that. This is the hard part. I think so. That's
Okay.
Yeah. So the important aspect is while trying to answer the PMP style questions, you have to think from the PMI perspective. So whatever process you're following currently in that, please forget all that stuff. Just he wants you from the PMI perspective. That's the most important thing. And as a project manager, what we can do next. If you go back to the Rodrigo's presentation, initially we described what is the scope. Scope includes the project scope and as well as the product scope. So these are the two items.
it's by the book, President.
Yeah. So this is pretty straightforward. So the scope baseline includes option A, the various management plans of the project. Option B, schedule baseline and cost baseline. Option C, product configuration ID and statement of work. Option D, WBS dictionary, WBS and the scope statement.
Yeah, I think this is really a dream question. It's D, and you don't get such direct questions in real PMP.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't talk about WBS dictionary because, like I say, I prefer have a very specific deliverables. Like we talk 4 wheels, because I know the WBS dictionary, they have the specification about all the delivery. I know that, but the problem for me is I need all the time to see the dictionary of the WBS, and I don't want to do that. I want only to see the graphic part. It's easier because I have another project. I can start to look at a dictionary. Oh my God, this is 4 wheels. This is hard. I skip that part. I'm sorry for that in the explanation. But the problem for me with the dictionary is I saw a dictionary that big, because they explain one by one the label, and it's good, but I think so if you can put more information in the picture, it's better, to understand that's faster for me. This is just something for me.
So this is a pretty straightforward question, and rarely you see such questions in the current PMP, right? So,
and I'm sorry if I not mentioned that part. Yeah.
So moving on to the third one, a project manager joins a project with a distributed team, fixed budget, and tight deadlines. During planning, what should the project manager do to avoid any scope creep and keep the team focused on delivering a product that meets requirements? Option A, request that all development team leads prepare detailed requirements. Option B, prevent stakeholders from directly interacting with the development team leads. Option C, ensure that any changes to scope have gone through the formal approval process. Option D, conduct daily stand-ups with all development teams. So any takers for this?
I am the new one here, but I should go with the D because Rodrigo was explaining that he enjoyed the 5 minutes every morning. So I'm just guessing.
Okay. Yeah.
It would be between.
I want to explain, Sandra, the 5 minutes that we talk about that is with agile methodology. It's another good practice that we have for different kind of project. This project may be IT projects, all right? But this is the reason. I'm sorry, I mix that kind of thing. Like I said, but this is only PMI question. Like I said, the 5 minutes is good for me, but they use it in another methodology, or we can explain you later because it's a very nice good practice of project. It's a different kind of but it's because it's a different kind of project too, like the TI projects and everything. But this is the reason I'm sorry. But yeah, I use that in whatever project I use that part. I like it. But the key question is that the part they say during the planning. This is the key question about that. You are in the planning process, you are in the execution project, you are in the money in the control project, in the part of the control. You are planning the scope, and this is the key about this question.
All right. So yeah. Anyone else with a different option?
The A, I chose A, request that all the development team leads prepare.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think so?
See, as you said, the last one is more about stand-ups, not specific to scope creep. It has nothing to do with that. And C is a change management. So
it's in control project.
Yes. And preventing stakeholders from interacting with development team leads is actually not a good idea. It doesn't fall in the agile or even the joint application development, which is actually very much recommended. So that leaves the A, and I think detailed requirements are very much required to prevent scope creep if possible. So that leaves A.
Okay. So any other options from others? Kuzi, do you want to try it out?
If I was in the exam, I would say C, but we'll see. I may get mistaken too.
Okay.
Be careful, Kosi, because it's in the planning process. All right.
Yeah, after you said that, I understood it, but like at first I would say C probably.
Yeah,
but then like after the explanations, A is more logical.
When you read a question, and this kind of question, you need to understand where are you. You are in the planning process. You are in the execution process.
Yeah.
If you are in the execution process, maybe the C is good. And this is a tips that I give you because I know how to pass this exam. And for me, it's only to understand if I in the initial project, in the planning process or the execution project, where process I have. And here they say this is during the planning process. And I think so. This is the reason C is only for the execution process.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me reveal the answer. Yeah, so if you see
sorry, Kuzi.
So if you see the...
I was a lucky guess. Mine was a lucky guess, I guess.
Yeah, so if you read the question here, a project manager is joining the project with a distributed team, fixed budget, and the tight deadlines is the keyword over there. And the other keyword is it's in the planning phase. What should the project manager do to avoid any scope creep? So tight deadlines, planning, and scope creep. These are three keywords we have to do. So to avoid, see, as Prashanti mentioned, that request that all development team leads prepare detailed requirements. That is right answer. That is a good answer, but based on the current scenario where we have the tight deadlines, that might not be a viable solution. So as we are in the planning phase, the best option is to have the how to handle the scope creep. So we need to have a formal approval process.
Yeah, but I think so. They change the process for a full approval process to change the scope and everything is in the execution plan. And, how we went through formal approval process. I don't know. I don't know why I think this is during the planning process, the change part they don't. For me, this is something for me. I don't know. Sorry for that. I think I'm so sure it is the C part, but I don't know.
Because in the planning phase, usually we
For
prepare
me.
in the planning phase we prepare the project management plan, which also includes the change management plan.
Yeah, I know. You include the process, how you're going to change if you're going to change, but they say ensure that any change to a scope have to go through the formal approval process. It's not hard. I don't know why I like the A, because I think so A is important. You need to, the team leads prepare a very, very good requirement, detailed requirement, But yeah, sorry for that.
So, Samia, hello?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think one of the keywords is the scope creep. Sometimes it's quite confusing, but because of that scope creep, that's why it points directly to C. Sometimes during the project management plan, so all of these things are highlighted as sub-themes for your planning processes. So, but as far as scope creep is concerned, and the fact that they mentioned it pointedly in C, I think that's why it was C. So basically, it's not talking about something, a process that has happened. It's talking about how the process is going to happen. So I understand what Rodrigo is trying to say, that it doesn't point to the fact that it's what's happening during the planning process. It is what is going to happen. It's not what has happened or what is happening presently. It is what is going to happen. So we should always keep that in focus when looking at the question.
Yeah. Thanks, James, for those inputs. Yeah. So let's move on to the next one. A project manager assumes a project during its execution stage and wants to review the project scope for cost estimating purposes. The project manager discovers that some deliverables were missed in the work breakdown structure. What should the project manager do next? Option A, request that the project manager office approve additional funds for this work. Option B, ask the subject matter experts to check whether these deliverables are necessary. Option C, asks the stakeholders if these missed deliverables needs to be added. Option D, add the work to the WBS according to the 100% rule and recalculate the total project cost. So any guesses?
My guess again would be, if possible, C, if we could ask all stakeholders if those missed requirements are needed or not. But if this is not possible, I don't know what 100% rule is, but like from an exam perspective, it looks logical as a second answer. First C, and I would say second D.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's experienced people.
You said C and then D, cousin?
Yes, I would answer like that in an exam. Yeah.
I am.
So Kuzi is still not aware of what the 100% rule means. Yeah. So based on that, he went to option C. Okay. So James, Prashanti.
Okay. All right. So this is interesting. I'm looking at C because the stakeholders are also the team members. I don't think it's there because at that point in time, it doesn't have the power to adjust the cost, the project cost. I'm looking at it because he has broken down the job functions to deliverables. So I think what he's trying to do is that he's probably going to work on the schedule management plan, and then probably just add the jobs to other stakeholders. Maybe I think that's what he's trying to achieve. So it's looking like C to me. There was nothing to say that this job, that it's a PMO project. So that's why I didn't pick A. And B2 looks a bit tricky, but then I don't know. C looks like a plausible guess to me.
You are in the execution stage. This is important, like I say. You are in the execution, and like you say, if you're going to move something, you need the approve to the committee of change. You're not the PMO, of course. But the problem is, for go to the committee of change, you need to go with the new project cost to find the approve. This is the reason it's a tricky question about D, because I understand what you said. They don't have the power to change nothing because they don't go first to the, but maybe they're going to do that first and then calculate the new project cost with this new delivery and go to the change committee and asking about the change, this request about the change. This is because maybe he started to work that in the deep part, but yeah, maybe if it's a process, like you say, maybe the first step is asking first if they need it, then put, new, deliverables, and then go to the community change or something like that.
Okay, that sounds possible. Okay. Sounds possible.
Okay. So, any other wants to take a chance?
I forgot what is the 100% rule. I'm trying to wrap my head here. What
This is decompose the WS to the end, like very, very down, 100% of those. This is the 100%.
Okay.
Decompose, yeah, but very, 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 very detailed WS, very detailed.
And it should include the complete work which we are going to deliver as part of the project. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah. So if you take the lowest level activities and tasks and roll up them to the deliverables, so you should be able to get the 100% of the work. So there is no activity which is outside that, there is no deliverable which doesn't have a detailed activity list. It's ensuring the completion of work.
Right.
So I'm slightly inclined towards the D because, as Rodrigo was also saying, if you go by the process that the PMI generally suggests, you need to first do your work, make your calculations, and then go to the change management where some of the stakeholders could be part of this change control board and assess the impact, the importance of these deliverables that were missed. And the change management will be, the change control board will be the one to take a call on that. So I'm inclined towards D here. So
they say like you need to be proactive. It's so funny.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I know that.
Yeah. So let me reveal the
I
answer.
think D is good. Yes, D is good.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So, okay. So you can read the explanation. I'll read it out for you. So scope creep can be avoided by adherence to the agreed upon change management process. The WBS is a hierarchical decomposition of the total scope of work to be carried out by the project team to accomplish the project deliverables and create the required deliverables. The WBS organizes and defines the total scope of the project and represents the work specified in the current approved project scope statement. This must always reflect the complete and accurate scope of work.
Yeah, but like I said, then he need to approve this change. Like he
Right.
can
Yeah.
move, and this is the hard part for the because he need the approval.
Right.
I know this question is about like I say what is the word I said before? Like I forget it. The I forgot I forgot the word in English. Like the project management need to be very moving. How you say? Oh my God, I said before. Well, I think so. It's about that part. Like a project manager can stay quiet and can do something proactive. Sorry, this is the word. But then he need to go to the change committee, to asking about permission.
Yeah, and another thing is that the project manager wasn't even the one. He assumed the project midway at the execution stage, so he doesn't even have any information. So he has to get a total picture. So I just completely overlooked that. Do you understand? So there's no way you can overlook it without adding it to.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
But the words respond because I know the PMI look the words respond. For example, if you put the A question, the A answer, sorry, this is the words because project managers often not approve additional requests of funding. This is the words response. And I know when you took the exam, they look if you put this a very crazy answer because this is the most, this is like and this is important to understand because if you answer in this question, I think so, C or D, is both is a little good, it's better the D, of course, but if you answer the A, for example, this is very, you don't understand the process, like you are so far away, and I think so, when they go, this is the reason you never know how much, some person in how much you take in it, you get in the exam, but you don't know how sure you have. And I think so because the PMI, I think so one person told me that they work in the PMI, the PMI system look the word answer that you put. And I think so if you put the A answer is the worst, like you don't understand that. And they raise a lot of point about that, because you are very far away of the process or something like that. And this is the good part. You need to be in the two best answer, because they going to pass it in the end.
So this is the final question for today. So due to scope changes during project execution, the project manager identifies that a provider must make changes to a product module already in use. What should the project manager do first? Option A, prepare a change request to update contract terms with the provider. Option B, update the risk register and issue log with this information. Option C, check the procurement management plan and the contract terms. Option D, negotiate directly with the provider to reach an agreement. So I will give, so check for the keywords in the question to find out the answer. So any takers?
B.
I'm still looking at C.
Yeah, please provide the explanation. Why do you feel so?
Okay. So he can't. The project manager cannot make any changes to a procurement management plan, and because the thing about it is that if the product model has been agreed upon from the onset, you can't alter it in the procurement management plan or the contract terms. So he first of all has to look at what the terms are before he can now, present it to the provider, whether it's something that is applicable to the provider or not. And then it is after he does that even B can come into play. So I'm looking at C.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Prashanti, you were saying something, right?
Yeah, I see definitely has to be done. But I was just looking at the order of things between B and C. Mostly, it is between B and C, I feel. But the reason I chose B here is because what would you do first? So when you identify it's an issue because it's already in use, the product module, and then there is a scope change. So this will definitely have impacts on other aspects of scope and cost and procurement, and so a lot of departments will get affected. So maybe I feel that updating the risk register and issue log would be the first step, and then go to C. That's my understanding.
Okay. So any other answers?
I agree with A.
Okay. So tell me which is the option that can be eliminated at first?
Good question. I think I would say D, because it looks A, B, and C look related, and like they all feels for me that like they needed to be done regardless of their order. Whereas like when I read the question, like the project manager identifies that a provider must make changes, I don't directly go to the negotiation directly with provider. So that's why I think A, B, and C are more at first. That's why I would eliminate D. Yeah, I would eliminate D.
Right. So I agree with you. So let me reveal the answer. So
the key question here, I think somebody said that is the first,
right.
Because maybe the second part is A, the second step, prepare the change request, but maybe the second is A, but the first is the key question here. What are you going to do first?
Yeah, so you can alter a project.
Yeah, James said that.
You can impose changes like scope creep on a provider. You can do it because it's also a stakeholder. Yeah. So what you have
to do, review first.
Yes, you need to review. You need to review the contract, the project management plan. You need to review. The procurement management plan is part of the project management plan. Just check it. So once you've come to the terms to say, okay, yes, there's a loophole that we can explore.
Yeah.
That's where you now bring in the provider, who is also a stakeholder. So once he has agreed that these changes can be implemented, you then prepare a change request, updating the contract, and then updating that artifact for other part of the contract. Other part of the process. Then you now update the risk register, which is also something that is going to be looked at from time to time to see whether that problem occurs again.
Yeah. So if you see the option B, before understanding what are the risks and issues, you have to first refer the management plan and the contract terms. So by going to that, we can then identify are there any risks associated with this change or issues with that. So here the option C is the best answer.
Nice. This is more procurement question or scope question.
Okay, so this is for today. And for people with PMP designations, if you want to claim PDOs, this is how you have to log into the pmi.org account and go to the My PMI section. There you can select the dashboard, and under that you can click on report PDUs on CCRS. So you can fill out the form as mentioned here. So how to claim? You can enter the organization group as the Latin project management networking, and the course as today's PM discussions scope management. And you can give the contact name, and you can add 1.5 PDUs under the technical section. So if you want to share the feedback on the session, you can reach to us through different means. Yeah, even we have a LinkedIn group as well. So try to be in touch with that. So this is it for today. Thanks all for attending the session. So if you have any questions, anything, you can reach out to us. Okay.